This house would prioritize environmental education over economic education. I begin my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Chair has said affirmative. We have come here and said that environmental degradation has a major problem of global warming, and whereby global warming is going to be caused by deforestation, industrialization, swamp drainage, whereby this will lead to the death of people. This death of people will cause very many impacts, whereby some people here are going to be teachers and other teachers are going to be nurses, and this will cause a problem to people living in the society, whereby people will lack medical services from those people who are going to be dead. And here we are coming by the solution saying that these people should prioritize environmental education over economic education. And now here we have the social impact over like good environment, hence leading to economic development on a total space. And I'm informing the side of the getters that environmental degradation can be such a bad thing, that whereby these people living in such societies are going to be affected, and they're going to their industry is going to produce those toxic gases, causing allergic solution to people, and they're going to live in a bad society, and here they will not have their free time to live in their societies. And here I'm informing you that the mechanism here we have, that we are extending the environmental education in communities and economic, and mainly in schools. This education will be held mainly in holidays, on which we are targeting the students and that other community members on the cause of environmental conservation. And here is that whereby we say that environmental degradation is such a bad thing, whereby many people can be, let me say, now here in our society we have a nice environment. Now if people start carrying out that environmental degradation, let me say, when they want to get charcoal for burning, they want to sell. Yes, it's true, you want to sell charcoal, you get money, you support your families, but you are causing an impact on the people, and here you are affecting the schools. Here to lead, now here in our schools, if people start carrying out environmental degradation, we shall move from this area and go to another area for those impacts caused from the environmental degradation.
I don't now understand. They come and really tell us that this thing of the environmental education, it's bringing some sort of global warming. This is caused by the human activities, what they characterize like soil degradation, but they really don't give us another alternative on how they are going to remove people from doing this sort of environmental destructions. They don't give us the mechanism on how they are going to set people jobs so that to move on destroying the environment. They really don't give us that mechanization, and then they really come out with an impact that they have brought some things like good environment. Then you're having that environment, you are going to get something like financially stable, but I don't really understand that the good environment cannot bring something financially stable. If I'm living in a good environment, how am I benefiting? I'm out just sit down, and that's what they're not getting on the side. But trying to understand what you're trying to bring on your side of the table. We are trying to bring environment, putting on the side whereby tell people do this, tell people go get mangoes from the trees, don't cut down mangoes, get the fruits, then go make juice. That's how it's going to boost the economy. That's what we are giving our people of the side of the house, but from them they don't give us. After telling people to go and then get money from the juices made, and then they are going to preserve the environment, because they're not going to cut trees, they're not going to do some things of environmental destruction, what they don't give us on our side, because they don't give us something like setting for people and other activities for their financial stability. They don't really show us that. But understand on our side, we really need money for our good environment. I cannot be we're having no money and then I think I'm going to live a good environment. Of course, no, I'm going to be forced and then go cut down trees. But I tell you no cutting down trees, because if it comes in position, if I'm having, as I've told you, then if I have my money raised.
How are you?
He's telling me how am I going to take care of these people and how to make this environment so that he's telling me how I'm going to make it. This is now I'm telling you how I'm going to make it. We are going to really tell people that this thing of doing their environmental education is not solving the problem for irreversible climate changes. We are trying to solve the things of unemployment, poverty, which brings these people to do some sort of environmental destruction. That's why I told you we are searching for them jobs, through telling them recycle things, make juices. They don't understand that. The solution to our side of the house is to provide us economic education. But we are not sidelining the environmental education, because I cannot work in the environment which is not somehow stable. That's why I told them no cutting trees on our side of the house, but maintain the trees and then go make juices from these mangoes for financially stable community. And I tell them that with the things of what they're telling us to live in an environment whereby you just making the environmental education, which they don't show us on the other side of the house how their environmental education looks like, and then we are showing them how environmental education is looking like. We have told them that our economic education is going to teach people how to make money, but not causing things of environmental education. Do the business with the money, and then don't catch things for the environment. Under the principle of sustainability, we are telling people that under the principle of sustainability, we are telling people that plant trees. However much this is bought by the Uganda thing, this is telling people plant trees, and then if you are planting trees, plant coffee. You are not going to cut down that coffee. Of course, you are going to get that coffee, and then you go and make coffee tea, make coffee hot, and then you are going to boost the economy of the environment. But I understand the guy who wins this debate is the guy who shows us how he's going to maintain the environment and how he's going to make the environment financially stable. I rest.
We receive only two major arguments from their side. They come out and tell us that we are not giving them the proper mechanization, how we are going to do this thing. But my first speaker clarified this well, that we are going to extend this environmental education not only in schools but also in the communities, to those people to also know how they are going to conserve their environment. They also come and tell us that we are not catering about the economic development, but I'd like to inform their side that we are not totally removing this economic education, but we are mostly prioritizing this environmental education, which is going to help us to improve on our economic development. If at all we have the good climate, if at all we have the good economic development, but with a bad environment, totally we shall be giving nothing to the environment. So I'd like to pose a question to their side, that if at all there is drought, how are you going to succeed in your economic development when if at all you have not prioritized about this environmental education? So leaving them with no case, allow me to engage to our case. The problem outside government is that we are seeing problems like environmental degradation, global warming, and others. These are caused due to deforestation, industrialization, swamp drainage, and others. So the impacts we are seeing of this, there is death of people due to natural disaster, due to these human activities. And if at all we don't solve these human activities, we are seeing that our country is going nowhere. The solution we are giving you as side affirmative is that we are going to prioritize this environmental education, as also we are going to be doing this economic education, but we are prioritizing this more in order to have a good environment. The proper mechanism we give you as said government is that we are going to extend this environmental education in communities, and also we are not considering about the people in the schools only, but we are also going to consider about the people who don't go to schools in those villages. Allow me submit.
From their side, they fail to tell us on a mechanism how it is then that good environment then solves the economy. It solves the economy. They then come out and tell us that they are going to extend environmental education in not only schools but also the people in the villages. We'd like to tell them that sensitization is already existing in status quo, and you have then seen that it has failed. You're already seeing that the government is then putting shows like on TVs encouraging people now to solve the environment, but it has then failed. For us to come out with a solution of then putting this thing in schools, whereby we are going to encourage schools to start up clubs like Young Farmers Club, whereby they are then going to explain to the people on how to solve the problems of the climate change, which is then causing a greater impact that they bring from their side. They then tell us that them prioritizing environmental education is some are going to cause a good environment, but we fail to get from their side, because we are still seeing that we are still seeing that the government of Uganda has then failed to give people jobs. This has then encouraged them to go in activities which are then going to destroy the environment. Like for example, charcoal burning. How are you going to tell a person who is not earning anything from the government, how are you going to stop him that daddy don't cut trees, when this is how he then gets school fees for you to go to school? Now having left them in their case, I engage you with mine. Now what you are then facing a problem which is then irreversible climate, which is then resulting to the unemployment you are then seeing in status quo. According to the principle of obligation, the government is then obligated to giving its people jobs, but you have then seen that it has then failed, which has then caused an impact whereby you are then seeing that people are then practicing activities like environmental destruction so as to earn a living. Now for us to come out with a solution which prioritizes environmental to prioritize economic education in a way that you are then going to encourage people to then go for circles so as to get so as to earn something which is then going to help them, and you are then seeing that you are going to also teach them on how to maximize available resources so as to get solutions to earn a living. And then seeing that the impact you are then creating is that the money that they are then going to get from maximizing the available solutions they are then having is the money we are then going to use on fighting the problem you are then facing in status quo. We give you an example of a country like Dubai. Dubai sacrificed its environment to then earn a living, and they are now right now just managing to adopt using methods of which are then going to help them to adopt. And this is what you are then going to do. You are then going to encourage people like you are not sidelining environmental education, but you are then prioritizing economic education in a way that you are going to teach people on how to earn a living without depriving the environment, and also without leaving it in any way which is then not going to be profitable for the coming future. You are then seeing that the impact you are then creating in our world is that you are boosting unemployment, which is then going to help in the fighting of the problem you are then facing now in status quo, in a way that you are going to teach, in a way that the money you are then going to earn from this employment is then the money you are then going to use to buy things like seedlings, which are then going to use in saving the environment. You are then going to also teach people that the fact that when you plant coffee you can also earn a living, which is then better than the destruction of the environment. You are then saying that the world you are then creating is a world whereby we are both solving the problem of employment and also solving the problem of reversible climate in a way that we then give them a suitable solution that they bring from their side. Allow me to submit.
Economic education. I begin my speech in 1, 2, and 3. Panel, we receive one major argument from side negative, that how are we going to live in a good environment without the country's economy being stable? Actually, my first speaker came out and told that, yeah, we are going to do this kind of environment. We are going to prioritize the kind of environmental education, putting it in communities, targeting those people who are not going in schools, because everybody is concerned about the country's environmental education. And also to the side of economic development, my first speaker told you that yes, we are going to put this economic education in schools whereby children are going to study it, and we are going to learn this, we are going to earn the economic education on a total space. Regarding on the high environmental education, the second speaker asked a question that how in schools, how are we having the good environment?
Do you really think that the environmental education can stand without money?
The environmental education can't stand without money, but again, the environmental education can't stand without money, but again, our side of the house prefers it more, that we are catering for both sides, yet for your side, you are catering less for the environmental education, yet it is more crucial in the country's economic development. You can't have the economic development whereby you're going to receive a lot of drought, you're going to receive a lot of famine, whereby you gave the example of Dubai. Dubai is spending a lot of money in having the adaptations. They're spending a lot of money. Allow it.
Compare Uganda and Dubai's economic status.
Dubai is having a good economic status, but again, they are also facing a lot of challenges that Uganda is not facing. That means it's a 50 way of debate. So, resulting to taking you back to our side of the house, my first speaker told you that. We shall have the good economic education, which is going to be put in schools, and the environmental education will be put in communities, because everybody is concerned about environmental education. Engaging you to our case, taking you right out the comparative analysis, our side of the house says we extend environmental education in communities and in holidays, targeting the children who don't go to school, yet your side of the house is not targeting for any of those. On the stakeholder analysis, our side of the house caters for both the government and the people. How does it cater for the government? Our side of the house is not letting the government to spend a lot of money while carrying out the so-called adaptations which Dubai is carrying out, whereby...
Why would government then destroy vegetation to put up Namma, the industrial park?
The government will do that because it is... The government will do that because it is a key in the industrial kind of Uganda. Still engaging in the stakeholder analysis, The government of Uganda is not spending a lot of money in the economic education, but again, it is still it is a third earning nation, of which it is still okay, because we have a good environment, and those people actually they admire our country, because for them they're spending a lot of money in the adoptions, because even the FIFA 2022 World Cup, they wanted to create they wanted to create artificial clouds in order to support the FIFA World Cup to take place, which needs a lot of money, of which the FIFA said, let's extend this in the some kind of seasons whereby you're not having a lot of sunshine. So the government of Dubai is going to keep on spending a lot of money until over 30 years of change, because this climate, I submit.
House would prioritize environmental education over economic education. Chair, understand one main argument that we get from their side of the house. They claim that due to the fact that industrialization and deforestation have been taking place, we have then things like climate change due to environmental degradation. How they then want to fight this is by prioritizing then the environmental education. But understand that the impact they then create on their side of the house, that we are going to live in a bogus kind of environment just because they have failed to sacrifice the environment at the expense of economy. We tell you from first minute that with a good economy, you can then fight the effects of climate change. They claim that with their good environment, they can then bring the good economy. They fail to show that. Why? Because look at Uganda. Their third speaker tells us that Uganda is still a third class kind of country. Why? Because we prioritize the environmental education, and then all people are thinking about kind of preserving the trees. But outside of the house gives you an example of Dubai, which sacrificed their kind of climate. They then got the economy, but then living in Dubai is far better than living in Uganda. Why? Because they have the economy. Understand that without the money, you can then not fight the. You can then not protect the environment, as they say on the side of the house. Now understand that the main problem in this debate on all sides is the reversible climate change. Understand that the best cause of this is unemployment. My first speaker tells you that government is legally obligated to things like providing employment and then jobs to people. But when government then fails, then people resort to things like environmental destruction as they bring it on their side of the house. We fail to get mechanism on how they're then going to promote employment. Because understand, even if you sensitize me not to cut trees, when you've not given me employment, that means that I'm not going to start cutting down trees for charcoal and things like firewood, because that's where I get the money. What to give you on the side of the house, we are encouraging things like plant coffee, then get the coffee, sell it. That's economy, but at the same time, we're then preserving the environment. Now, what we tell you on the side of the house, we tell you things like, why would government then cut trees to put up industries? Because it's so that by then putting up industries, it's going to get the economy to then preserve the environment. We ask them, if the coffee has been then given for free and then people have adamantly refused to get the coffee. Why? Because they see it as a long-term impact. What we give you is that we are going to sensitize these particular individuals on how to use the environment sustainably to then boost the economy. When we then boost the economy, we're going to fight the elements of irreversible climate change, which they don't fight on their side of the house. On a comparative analysis, my first speaker tells you that the person who wins this debate, the side that tells us how to conserve environment but with a good economy. Their side of the house then fails to show us how with their good environment they're going to provide the economy. Because understand, they are going to put things like don't cut down the trees, but then they have not provided jobs to individuals. Are then individuals going to start starving just because they? Yes.
If at all we put the economic education in schools, aren't we promoting the economic development?
Environmental education in schools does not mean that if I move out of school, just because I took environmental education, we're then going to provide for me a job. What economic education then looks like, you go learn entrepreneurship, you get out of school, you get out of school, you then know how to maximize the resources to then get the economy. We think our side then gives a greater impact. Now understand that on a comparative, we think our side then wins this debate because we show you that we solve problems like unemployment, problems like poverty, because individuals then know how to utilize the resources. On a stakeholder analysis, what outside of the house then gives you, we are reducing burden on government, because understand that government programs always run with money, which they don't have on the side of the house. We tell you that on citizens themselves, we then equip citizens with knowledge on how to maximize the available resources to provide things like money, things like income, which they fail on the side of the house. What they give us on the side of the house is then burdening government to things like arrest those who are destructing kind of swamps, and then things like go and then break the houses of those individuals who are then working. Arrest my case.
I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Now, Chair, where they lose? They fail to show us that if even without the economy, they can still create a good environment. They also even fail to show us on the way they are going to create a good environment when they don't have money. Understand that if people then fail to get coffee given to them freely, how will they then stop to destroy environment? You're then seeing that due to the fact that these people don't have jobs, you're then forced to go and practice activities like deforestation, which is then still causing the problem you're then having in status quo. You're then seeing that the solution we then bring from our world, which is then to prioritize economic education, and then teaching people how to gain from the environment without even depriving it. And we are also in the money, after the money they are then going to get is the money which are then going to use in conserving the environment, whereby we are then beating two birds with one stone, whereby we are then seeing that you are solving the problem of climate change and also even solving the problem of unemployment, whereby we are then going to give them jobs. Like, for example, we are going to teach the people on how to get money from the available resources. Like, for example, recycling plastics to make something which can then be sold to get or to earn a living. Allow me to submit proving to you that side negatives are winners of tonight's debate.
I begin in 3, 2, and 1. Sure. Side affirmative was told us that why would the government destroy environment for Namave Industry Park? I'm telling you that the environment, it's about its only beneficials, whereby that industry is going to be its source of revenue, and it's for its own benefits, and that government is going to get the finances to develop schools. But here it's going to destroy environment, not catering for the other people, whereby they're going to produce toxic gases affecting people, causing allergies. And here I'm telling you that the third speaker from side negative has told us that Dubai is a developed country, though it's a desert country. Yes, Dubai is a desert country, and even people from Uganda go to those abroad countries like even Saudi Arabia, Dubai for jobs. Yet not knowing that country, it has the leaders are not corrupt. But here, if you are telling me that you are going to be in a country where even you have corrupt leaders, and here you want even the environment to be destroyed for smart getting those let me say constructing areas whereby it's going to get finances to support these own things. Now you see Dubai is a desert country, and even let me say its environment even is not good at all. But people here go abroad to that country to get jobs. And aside negative and aside affirmative, you said that say negative, you said that you are going to prioritize. Sorry, you are going to prioritize environmental education in schools, and here we are going to teach people about we are going to teach people about the environment, organizing clubs in schools.